Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to the same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed since you hung around, but those dreams have remained and they've turned around. But who'd have thought they'd lead ya back here where we need ya? Yeah, I tease you a lot because I got you on the spot. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And I've probably just lost 80% of all the listeners who don't know what old TV theme I'm quoting. It's probably from before most of you were born. And then I've lost another 20% who think that I'm quoting P. Diddy because he did that remix with Mace back in the day, or Murder Mace, I guess it was at the time. But no. The only Diddy that we care about is Diddy Kong, who is tragically MIA from MKW, but Nintendo have redeemed themselves somewhat by including both Diddy and my girl Dixie Kong in the Donkey Kong Bananza Direct, and even further redeemed themselves by not bringing back Kiddy Kong. No hate. It's all jokes, but honestly, Donkey Kong Bananza looks to me like it will be a good reason to buy a Switch 2 for those who are currently sitting on the fence. And many are currently sitting on the fence. And I hope your butt isn't getting too sore on that hard wood, because there is a perception that Switch 2 has no worthwhile system-selling games at launch. But we are examining that. And this is part 2 of my comprehensive coverage of all 25 launch games, or 24 if you don't count Switch 2 Welcome Tour. And say it with me, nobody counts Switch 2 Welcome Tour. In part 1, we covered all the games published by Nintendo, Sega, Capcom, Konami, and EA, which leaves us with 12 more games to cover today. It's all third parties, but honestly, there are some bangers here that you aren't going to want to miss. And the final 4 that we cover even come at pocket money prices. And here's the really good news. Despite what you might have been led to believe, not a single game that we are covering today costs $80, and many are significantly less. The Nintendo Switch 2 system is quoted as saying, "Reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated." After covering all the games today, we are going to go into a deep dive on the statistics of the launch lineup. What's the average price, the average size of storage space required for a game, which is very important to know nowadays with this pesky game key card situation. Grr, this is the all digital future, baby. You will own nothing and you will be happy. That was meant to be Klaus Schwab, but I think I sounded more like a chicken. Happy? We are going to look... We're going to look into all that and more and figure out what this launch lineup can possibly predict for the future of Nintendo Switch 2 and the industry as a whole. I've no intention of clickbaiting, so the very first game we're going to cover is the one that I know that many of you are the most interested in, and that is Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. We know it's a good game, but is the Switch 2 the definitive version, or even a respectable version, considering how demanding it is? It should be a good technical showpiece for the system as long as it plays well. We don't want a repeat of the launch situation on the PS4. And we will jump right into that, Cyberpunk, after I just quickly read out the podcast introduction. Hi everyone, welcome to Daily Switch 2, a podcast covering everything related to the Nintendo Switch 2 with at least one new episode uploaded per day to YouTube, Spotify and your favourite major platforms. My name is Sam, and I've been a gamer since the 1980s. I've worked in the entertainment industry since I was a teenager, including as a games journalist, producer of gaming documentaries and shows, and I'm even programming multiple indie video games, including 4 which will be released on the Switch and hopefully Switch 2, so be sure to subscribe and follow the show for the world-exclusive news on those as they drop. However, I'm a gamer and a Nintendo fan at heart, and this podcast is purely a passion project for me to talk about all the stuff that interests and excites me about this new system. It's not monetized or funded by any entity. It's completely unofficial and unbiased so that I can give my full, frank, honest opinions. So, if you want to support me or just find out the best places to get these free daily episodes, or to join our free members area where you can talk to me and leave suggestions and take part in our monthly free giveaways to win official Nintendo prizes, all links are in the bio and at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. I thank you so much, and back to the episode. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Now, moving on to the random third-party games that are available. And like I said, I'm going to group together all of the kind of AAA-ish games, basically the full price games. And they're in no particular order. I'm just going to do them in alphabetical order. But the first one is probably the most interesting, in my opinion. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. Now, if you don't know what Cyberpunk is, Nintendo says the genre is action RPG. I mean, yeah, kind of. But very much kind of Western RPG, not RPG like a Final Fantasy game or whatever, like Western RPG sort of action game. To me, it feels almost more like an open world game, like a GTA kind of game, but with RPG elements. Developed by CD Projekt Red, published by CD Projekt Red. Is it a system exclusive? No. But by all accounts, the Nintendo Switch 2 version is a very decent way to play the game. And many people would say this is the showcase game. The showcase game, I mean, I'll dispute that. There's one more game that I think maybe even more so. But many people would say this is the showcase game if you want like a very graphically intensive AAA game to show off what your new system can do, and definitely would not have been possible on the Switch one. Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 is the game to do that with. Obviously, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that when Cyberpunk 2077 launched, there was a lot of hype for it. People were extremely excited about it. CD Projekt Red's previous game, Witcher 3, was considered one of the best games of all time. Keanu Reeves was acting in the game, and he was actively helping promote the game, and that was raising a lot of hype too, so people were excited about it. And then it launched in a basically unplayable, broken state. And especially if you tried to play it on the consoles at the time, like the PS4, it just didn't work. And Sony ended up even giving people refunds because that's how broken it was. However, Cyberpunk 2077, like another game on this list, has almost completely rehabilitated its image, and CD Projekt Red stuck with it and kept updating it and kept patching it and kept fixing it. And nowadays, by all accounts, it's one of the best kind of modern games in that genre. If you're into that kind of AAA third-party, third-person action adventure game, yeah, it's one of the best. It's certainly a very big game, a very deep game with a lot to do. The Nintendo Switch 2 version is extremely impressive in how it runs. Yeah, sure, it doesn't run as well as like a £3,000 PC, but it's comparable, and it's better than the PS4 and the Xbox One versions. It's not quite up to par with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, but you wouldn't expect that on a portable system, and it's certainly, it's certainly a very respectable version of the game. But here's the rub, here's the thing. Is it available physically? Yes. No questions asked. No questions asked. It's not a code in a box like EA. It's not a key card like Sega or Capcom or Konami. No, it is just the full game on the cartridge, 64 gig cartridge, the full game on there, and the physical version. As I mentioned in my Mario Kart review, the physical version of Cyberpunk comes with a manual, comes with all kinds of nice little inserts to make you feel like, oh, I've got a really nice collectible edition here, and I've got my money's worth. And it's just $70. Now, $70 is steep, yes, but it's less than Nintendo with their $80 games, and it's a much nicer package. It's a much nicer package. It's an actual AAA game. No questions asked, really. If you're into this type of game, yeah, I can recommend it wholeheartedly. And it doesn't just come with the cartridge in a bare bones box with, no art on the inside of the paper. No, it's a really nice package. And for $70 for a third party to pull that off when Nintendo themselves aren't even doing that, for me, it's shameful that Nintendo can't do that. But CD Projekt Red are doing what all the other publishers, or what most of the other publishers aren't doing, including Nintendo themselves, and I absolutely applaud them for it. So if you're even slightly interested in this type of game, I mean, honestly, this type of AAA game is not really my bread and butter, not really my cup of tea, but I want to play it because I want to, really see what the system can do from a technical perspective, and I just want to support the fact that this is a third-party publisher who is publishing a physical release, not charging the full $80, even though they could have done, because Nintendo has set that precedent, and they're including extra stuff, and they're including the whole game on the cartridge, including DLC, by the way, including DLC. All the DLC, which was previously you had to pay extra for on the other systems. Nope, it's all included in there. Because as I said, that's industry standard. That's what you're supposed to do when you re-release an old game in a kind of Game of the Year style or remastered style version for a new generation. You're supposed to include all the DLC, but Nintendo, in their infinite wisdom, decide not to with Breath of the Wild. Absolutely disgusting. But Breath of the Wild, without the DLC and without manuals, etc., for $70. CD Projekt Red is releasing Cyberpunk with all the DLC and manuals and other inserts, and it's a nicer box, the way the art is on the inside. It's just nicer. It's a nicer package. It's all on the cartridge. Love it. If you're going to buy the download version, it's 59.4 gigabyte. As I said, around the 60 to 70 seems to be where you're looking for these kind of third-party AAA, big extravaganza open world style games. It's very hefty when we've only got 256 gig to play with before we have to start buying very expensive memory cards. But you don't have to worry about that, because for the same price as the download, you can buy the cartridge version and it has everything on the cartridge, so you don't need to waste 60 gigabyte of your precious download space. Well done, CD Projekt Red. Well done. Absolutely kudos. Next game, as I said, just going in alphabetical order. Fantasy Life I believe it's Fantasy Life I, not Fantasy Life 1. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. That's what it's called, but it's confusing calling it Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, because that's what a lot of Nintendo games are calling themselves. But it's from Level 5, are the developer and the publisher. It's a life sim style game. I don't know much about this, I'll admit. I've only seen the trailer footage. I haven't even slightly played this game. I know nothing about it. Animal Crossing-ish? Life sim? Maybe. It's from Level 5. Is it system exclusive? No. Is there a physical version? Question mark. I don't know. I can't work this out. As far as I can tell from Googling around, there is only a physical version for the Switch 1. And the physical version for the Switch 1 does include the game on the cartridge, almost obviously. But here's the thing. If you have the Switch 1 physical version, you can upgrade it to the Switch 2 Edition for only $2.59. $2.59, and you can take your Switch 1 version, whether it's the downloaded version or the physical version, and upgrade it to the Switch 2 version. So for a third party to only charge $2.59, $2.59 is a bizarre amount. I'm guessing that's because they are a foreign developer and they had a nice round amount in their currency. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, to be honest with you. But $2.59, that's not very much money at all to upgrade from Switch 1. So I guess well done, Level 5. That's really cool. But if you don't have the Switch 1 version and you just want to buy it for your Switch 2, as far as I can tell, you can only download it. I can't see a keycard release anywhere. And it will cost you $62.57. $62.57. Again, a weird amount, and it seems kind of steep. I would imagine that if you shop around, you can find the Switch 1 version physically for cheap or for cheaper, and then just spend your $2.59 to upgrade it. So that's what I would recommend if you're interested in this game. But if you do just buy the download version, because that's more convenient, it's going to take up 16.6 gigabyte. 16.6 gigabyte of space. As I say, the game itself, I can't really vouch for it. I don't know too much about it. Looks interesting, but yeah, life sim style games, not really my type of thing. I mean, I have played those type of games and enjoyed them, but I try to avoid them most of the time because I get obsessed and I get sucked in with them and they take up way too much of my time. But, you know, at the same time, if you want to get sucked in and take up too much of your time, you know, that means you're going to get probably good value for money out of your $62 $8.57. But maybe look for a physical version for Switch One and then just pay for the $2.59 upgrade path. To me, that seems like a bargain, the upgrade path. I gotta be honest. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition is the next game on our list. It's an action game, another kind of, AAA third-party action game. It's both developed and published by IO Interactive. Is it exclusive? No. I mean, I'm sure most of you will have heard of the Hitman series. It's been a very long-running series, available on lots of things. Now, I've not personally played this one. I believe this is a compilation of 3 games in the Hitman series, which came out in 2016, 2018, and 2021, respectively, just known as Hitman 1, 2, and 3. I assume the first in the series in 2016 was a soft reboot of the series. Now, I played the original Hitman 1, which I believe was called Codename 47, Hitman Codename 47, which I think came out in the year 2000, and Hitman 2, Silent Assassin. But I don't think Hitman 2 here, the 2018 game, I don't think that's a remake of Silent Assassin, and I don't think Hitman 1 here is a remake of Codename 47. I don't know, though. Honestly, after I played those 2 games, I enjoyed them, but I didn't really feel the need to continue playing the games. Nothing wrong with the series, nothing specifically that put me off. It's just that my tastes tend to lean more towards the kind of bright, colourful, cute cartoon characters, not taking life too seriously, and Hitman, it's quite a kind of dark and grimy series, although there is a lot of humour to it as well. However, I've heard that these new games from kind of 2016 to 2021, I've heard this trilogy is really good, and certainly having all 3 of them to buy for one price is really good. Is it exclusive? No, obviously not. Is there a physical version? It's available on keycard release, so kind of bog standard. Yeah, if you want a thing to put on your shelf, keycard release. Whether you buy it digital or keycard, it's going to set you back $60. And as we can predict, it's as a third-party AAA third-person game, it's going to take up around 60 gigabyte. This is the pattern that we're noticing, and this one specifically is 58.4 gigabytes. Next up, another kind of AAA third-person game from a third party, Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy, kind of controversial title from a couple of years back. We won't get into why. This isn't a political channel. You already know whether you're interested in Hogwarts Legacy or not. Obviously, it's a kind of open world, live life in Hogwarts, which, if you don't know, is the school from the Harry Potter universe. You may know it as Poudlard if you are French, or I'm sure there are other names in other countries, but basically the school from Hogwarts. In this game, you are going to school in Hogwarts. It's an adventure game, kind of open worldy, and you're a student. You learn different spells, etc. Kind of like an RPG, but more just an adventure game. It's from Avalanche Games. I love Avalanche Games as a developer. They've developed some absolutely fantastic games over the years. I haven't played this one specifically. I'm vaguely interested. If I was going to buy it, I would buy it secondhand. I should say, by the way, I don't judge anybody who would want to buy it and support the developers. If you want to support the many people who worked on the game, completely understand that. So as I say, I do like Avalanche and I support them. I've supported them many times in the past, and I will support them in the future. The publisher is Warner Brothers Games, obviously. Warner Brothers are the people behind the movies, and I actually worked on the last 2 Harry Potter movies out of interest. As I've mentioned, I've been in the entertainment industry a long time, of a lot of strings to my bow. Is it system exclusive? No, obviously not. Is it available physically? You can get a keycard release, and the cost is $60, which seems to be the standard kind of third-party price for these kind of AAA games. I'm glad it's 60, not 70. And it takes up 23.1 gigabyte, which is actually smaller than I would imagine. So it's obviously well compressed because it is a big game with really nice graphics. Here's the thing. The game was available on Switch 1. The performance on the Switch 1 was not great. It's now available on Switch 2, and there is no upgrade path. No upgrade path. So if you bought it on Switch 1 and you want to play it on Switch 2 to get the better performance, etc., you just have to buy it again. You just have to pay the full price of $60, which is very cynical from Warner Brothers there. I don't like that. But as I say, they're not the only ones. Sega did the same with Sonic X Shadow Generations, etc. There is DLC, from what I can see. Some of it is free, and some of it costs up to $20. And as far as I can tell, that DLC is not included on the $60 version. Again, if it was a re-release of an old game in a kind of Game of the Year style, like with Breath of the Wild, not including the DLC, I would be more up in arms. But this is a very recent game. So it doesn't surprise me. It's more like it's a current gen game and just happens to be releasing on the Switch too. But yeah, be aware, there is DLC. Some of it is free, but some of it you'll have to pay extra for if you want that specific thing. I don't know what all the different DLC is. I didn't really look into it. I don't particularly care. Maybe I will do when I eventually do get around to playing the game. The next game, now this is something that I must admit I don't know very much about at all. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Nobunaga's Ambition. No, it's Japanese, so it's most likely Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition is the full title. Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition. Tell me in the comments if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Everybody laugh at me. It'll be engagement either way, so the algorithm will like it. The genre is strategy. As I mentioned, I'm not a big one for strategy games. But it's developed by Koei Tecmo. Koei Tecmo, actually one of my favorite developers. They make games with very pretty ladies, like the Dead or Alive series, but also I am a really big fan of Project Zero, Fatal Frame series, and the Ninja Gaiden games as well. Ninja Gaiden. Koei Tecmo is the developer and publisher. Is it system exclusive? No. Is it physical? It's available on keycard, but as with some of the other kind of more Japanese Eastern-ish games, it may be only available on import from somewhere like PlayAsia. So the price is $70, whether you buy it on keycard or whether you buy it digital. Usually I'd recommend buying the keycard, but as you might have to import it, it might actually end up costing you extra in shipping costs to import it. So look into it. If you're going to download it, the download size is only 12.4 gigabytes, so maybe it's not so bad. And I notice that there is free DLC available. So I like that. We like that when there's extra content available and it's free. Already for a launch day game, that's pretty good. I don't know what that means, but that's pretty great. As I said, I know nothing about the game in itself other than what I've seen in the trailer, and if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching the trailer right now. So make of that what you will. If it looks interesting to you, do your own research. Next game, going alphabetically, No Man's Sky Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. This was the other game that I mentioned that, like Cyberpunk 2077, when No Man's Sky released, there was a huge amount of controversy and everybody was hating on it and everybody was criticizing it because, again, this was a game which had a huge amount of hype. I remember I personally was really hyped for this game when the first trailers were coming out and when the developer was talking about all the ideas for the game. It just sounded like an incredible game. It sounded just amazing. And then the game finally came out and it didn't have even a tenth what the developer had initially promised. So it felt very disappointing and everybody felt like they'd been kind of ripped off or lied to. And there was a big negative hoo-ha. But like Cyberpunk 2077, it's completely rehabilitated itself. The developer kept working on it and is still working on it, I believe, to this day. But certainly he kept working on it for many, many years and improving it and adding to it. And now I think pretty much everybody would agree No Man's Sky is a really good game if you're into that kind of game. Nintendo describes it as adventure, but it's like a space exploration game. I guess kind of similar to like Elite, if you remember back in the day. And obviously Elite Dangerous is like the newer version. Yeah, you fly around in space, you discover new planets and new solar systems, and you conquer things and you find new species and new plants and new areas that have never been discovered before. And if you were online and you discover somewhere that literally nobody has ever discovered before, you can name it after yourself or whatever. Procedurally generated, but it's a huge game. And if you're the type of person who wants to pretend to be living on a spaceship like in Star Trek, and you're going to explore other galaxies and other planets and discover new alien life forms, and this is going to be a game that you could essentially play forever. There is a huge amount of content. It's developed by Hello Games. It's published by Hello Games. Is it a system exclusive? No, obviously not. It's available on all kinds of things. Similar to what we mentioned with Fantasy Life I, is there a physical version of No Man's Sky? ? I don't know. Googling around, I can only find a Switch 1 version. But if you have the physical Switch 1 version, obviously everything is on the cartridge, and you can upgrade for free. So kudos to Hello Games there. I thought it was cool that Level 5 let us upgrade for just $2.59, but Hello Games, true to pretty much what I've just said about every single update being free just to improve the game. Oh, you bought it on Switch 1? Well, of course you can upgrade to the Switch 2 version for free. Of course you can. But if you're going to be playing on Switch 2 and you want to buy it for Switch 2, the digital version is going to cost you $60. And as far as I can see, there isn't a boxed version for the Switch 2. That seems strange. It seems like in the future there probably will be a Switch 2 box version, but right now I couldn't see one. But for me, again, I would imagine it's going to be cheaper for you to find a Switch 1 version for cheaper and then just get the free upgrade rather than buying the Switch 2 version for $60. But I don't know. Either way, the Switch 2 version is a 25 gigabyte download. And for a game that's as huge as No Man's Sky, that's pretty great. And I guess the reason is because a lot of it is procedurally generated. And that's why it's huge rather than having separate content. But yeah. Great game if you're into that kind of thing. If you want to lose hundreds and hundreds of hours and just live your life in space, great game. I'm not going to be doing that because I'm terrified of losing all that time and not being efficient and getting my work done. But yeah, can I recommend the game? Absolutely. And the Switch 2 version obviously runs a lot better than the Switch 1 version. And the upgrade is free, and Hello Games should absolutely be commended for that. So I recommend that you buy the game and support them if you're even vaguely interested in that. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. It's an RPG. It's developed by Marvelous, ! Marvelous, and it's published by Marvelous Inc. Is it a system exclusive? No. But is there a physical release? Yes. Yes, there's a proper physical release. Not a keycard, not a code in a box. The actual game is on the actual cartridge. The price is $70, which is fairly steep. But again, not as steep as the top end. They could have got away with $80, especially considering everything is on the cartridge. So it's very rare. It's very, very rare for this to happen. So just like Cyberpunk 2077 with CD Projekt Red, I absolutely say well done, Marvelous Inc. And if you're even vaguely interested in Rune Factory, it's a well-reviewed RPG. If you're even slightly interested in it, $70. It's not as expensive as it could have been, and it's the full game on the cartridge. We should support that. Well done. It's only 17.9 gigabyte if you want to download it. And if you already bought it on Switch 1, because it was available on Switch 1, you can upgrade for $10. So they do offer an upgrade. Yes, it's $10. It's not free, unfortunately, but that's much better than the other third parties that are not offering an upgrade and just charging you the full price all over again. So yeah, again, Marvelous Inc. Yeah, commendable. Well done, Marvelous Inc. Well done. The last kind of AAA full price game is Sid Meier's Civilization 7 Nintendo Switch 2 Edition is the name of the game. It's Obviously, I'm sure most people know the Civilization series. This is the 7th game, obviously. It's been around for many, many, many years, and it's a strategy game. This is like a proper kind of strategy, what I think of as a strategy game, rather than a strategy RPG. This is like a strategy kind of point-and-click style strategy game. And that's interesting because this game will support the mouse mode. Because if you're playing on a PC, it's best played with a mouse, so it's going to support the mouse mode. So that'll be interesting. Development, Firaxis, and publisher Take-Two Interactive. Take-Two Interactive, massive publisher, and it's the only game from them at the launch lineup, but I'm sure we will see many more from them as time goes by. Is it a system exclusive? Obviously not. No, this game is available on almost everything, most famously on PC, because it's best played with a mouse, but now we have a console with a mouse, so maybe the best console version will be the Nintendo Switch 2 version. Who knows? Is it physical? Well, there's a physical box available, but again, like EA, Take-Two has cheaped out massively and put a code in a box. Not even a keycard, a code in a box. We don't like that. We don't want to support it. But if you're gonna buy it, it's $70 whether you buy the digital download or whether you buy the code in a box. So at least with the code in a box, you've got a box to put on the shelf. So, it's up to you. If you're going to buy it, code in a box, I guess. But here's the good thing. If you already bought it for Nintendo Switch 1, they do allow an upgrade path. Again, just like Rune Factory, it's $10. It's $10. And, they could have cheaped out and said, no, you have to pay all over again, or they could have decided to charge more for an upgrade. It's not a free upgrade like No Man's Sky, but, at least they're offering the upgrade, which is better than we can say for Sega, etc. So well done, Take-Two Interactive, I guess. $70, I mean, it seems steep to me, but this is the new world that we live in. So that's all the kind of full-price AAA-ish third-party games, and now we're left with just 4 titles before we finish the 25 titles. I was going to cover them in alphabetical order. There's only 4 of them anyway, but no, I'll mention this one first because it's somewhat of a standout. Fortnite. Obviously, Fortnite was going to be released on Switch 2. Everybody knows what Fortnite is. If you don't, what is it? It's a online battle royale shooting game, but there's construction available at the same time. You kind of construct shields to protect yourself or build battlements to kind of climb up. And I'm not explaining it very well. I'm not a Fortnite player, if you can't tell. It's not for me. But I do think it's kind of cool. I understand why people like it, and it's especially with kids, but I suppose many of those kids have now grown up because the game has been around for a long time. It's an extremely popular game. One of the most popular games, similar to Minecraft. People have entire careers playing the game, and just not even professionally, but just streaming it, and people will pay to watch people play. But for the reason why I say it's kind of a standout out of these last 4 is because these last 4 are kind of pocket money price games, and Fortnite is actually free. In inverted commas, is free. It's free to play. Now, it's heavily monetized. Heavily monetized. Anybody who's a parent and has kids who play Fortnite, they will know that the kids are constantly asking for V-Bucks or whatever it is to buy new skins and whatever for the game. I do believe that most of the things that you buy are basically cosmetic only, which is good. I approve of that with free-to-play microtransaction games. I hate games that are pay to win. I don't like that, especially if it's multiplayer. What's the point in playing a multiplayer game if somebody else can just pay more money and they'll automatically be better than you? I don't like that. So, but Fortnite has many, many, many skins, and it has new content all the time, new seasons. I'm always seeing them incorporating new characters from different TV shows and universes and everything into it. It's interesting. It's not like, it should appeal to me because I like kind of cartoony, bright colors, games that don't take themselves too seriously. It's just, I'm not an online player, especially not an online only player. That's just not my jam. But for those people who are, Fortnite is basically endless content, and it is a free to play game as long as you can resist paying for the cosmetics. Although I believe that the kind of microtransaction stuff is a little bit loot boxy, so it's kind of like gambling for kids. So, I don't entirely approve of that. But I don't know too much about it, so I can't really argue. The developer is Epic Games, which is interesting. I used to love Epic Games. Many games that they released back in the day that I really loved. A big fan of the Jazz Jackrabbit series, if anybody remembers that. I'm showing my age there. But also Unreal, the Unreal games and Unreal Tournament games. For me, it's a real shame that Unreal Tournament is not still currently a thing that is being, released and played and respected. But I believe there are ways to play certain Unreal games, but not on the Switch too. But nowadays, Epic is basically it's Fortnite, isn't it? That's what they do because it makes them billions. But you also have the Epic storefront where they sell other games and other people's games on the PC as a alternative to Steam, although frankly, who wants an alternative to Steam, to be honest with you? But developed by Epic Games, published by Epic Games. It's not for me, but if it is for you, you already know the game. You've probably already played it on other things, but is the Switch 2 version good? I don't know. I imagine so. I imagine it will be certainly better than the Switch 1 version. Is it a system exclusive? Obviously not. Is it physical? Is there a physical release? No. And I put no with a question mark, because to me, on the one hand, obviously it shouldn't be a physical release because it's a free-to-play game. You download it, it's a free-to-play game. But on the other hand, it's a game that many, 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 many kids play, and parents will buy consoles specifically for kids to play the game. So to me, a bit like Minecraft, it's a no-brainer to have a physical boxed version that you can put in the shops and sell to parents. So I don't know. It looks like there isn't a physical version right now. I imagine there probably will be a physical version at some point, even if it's just code in a box or like a sticker that comes on the front of the Switch 2 that says this Switch 2 comes with Fortnite or whatever. I don't know. That seems like something that will probably happen. Price? Well, it's free, isn't it? But there's many, many microtransactions. The size, it's going to take up 34.8 gigabytes. But I would very much put that in inverted commas because there is constantly new seasons and new content coming out for it. And also you can buy 1,000,001 skins and things for it. So, of course, with every update and every DLC and every new bit of content that you buy, it's going to take up more space, isn't it? So I imagine that 34.8 gigabytes is going to creep up very, very quickly. The other three games, well, let's just cover them in alphabetical order, but they're all pocket money prices-ish. I'd argue maybe a couple of the first two could be maybe a little bit cheaper, but pocket money prices, and they're all interesting. I'd actually recommend all of them if they're the type of thing that you're interested in. The first one, a little bit cheating with the alphabetical order because it's A for Arcade Archives. Arcade Archives is a series of games which, as the name implies, are essentially old arcade games from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, archived, re-released so that you can play them on a modern system. And there's a new line of these called Arcade Archives 2, meaning these are versions for the Nintendo Switch 2. And this is Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer. Man, Ridge Racer. What a game. Not sure when it first came out, 1993, I believe. Might be 94, but I think 93 in the arcades. And then obviously it was a launch title for the original Sony PlayStation as well. What a game. And here we have essentially an arcade perfect conversion of the arcade version of that game. The genre, if you don't know, is a racing game. You could have guessed that by the title, Ridge Racer, but it's a racing game. It's very much an arcade style racing game, so it's all about it's not about realistic physics. It's about drifting, and it's about bright colors and crazy overhyped 90s style voiceovers with attitude and thumping dance music in the background. It's a very good time. It's developed by Namco, and At the time, Ridge Racer was like the competition for Sega's arcade races with 3D polygons. It was one of the very first kind of popular 3D polygon racing games. And I don't know, for me, I'm a big Sega fanboy, and Ridge Racer, I believe, was released in between Virtua Racing and Daytona USA. So Virtua Racing was the first kind of really fully realized, fully impressive, fully smooth and playable 3D polygon-based racing game, and was amazing when people first saw it in the arcades. But it was kind of flat-shaded polygons, and then along comes Namco and says, hey, we've got Ridge Racer, which is textured polygons and looks even more impressive. And then Sega went, yeah, but now we've got Daytona USA on the Model 2, which is even more impressive and an even better game. So back then, Namco and Sega were always kind of duking it out in the arcade of who could up each other with the best technology. But the real winner was us consumers, because the Sega games and the Namco games were always fantastic. And Ridge Racer is no exception. It's a fantastic game. I will say, not much content. I mean, back then it was normal, but it was very normal for a 3D polygon racing game at the start to release with just 1 track, 2 tracks, maybe 3 if you were really lucky. So there's not going to be much content, but Ridge Racer, it's a fun time. And I'll tell you what, man, it's basically 1 track, isn't it? Ridge Racer, the original, but there's like, depending on what difficulty you're on, you play like a slightly longer version of the same track. I've played that 1 track over and over and over and over and over again, probably thousands of times in my lifetime. And back in the day on the original PlayStation, did you feel ripped off if you bought a system with Ridge Racer and it only had 1 track? No, back in the day it was such a novelty to have that arcade machine playable at home in almost kind of arcade perfect fashion, or that's what it seemed like if you squinted at the time. And the thing is that, yeah, okay, it's sort of only 1 track, but it's so well designed and it's so playable. And if you are like me, as I mentioned in my other previous reviews, as far as racing games go, I love the arcadey style racing games, and I also love time trials. I love coming back over and over and over and over again and racing the same track over and over and over and over again and trying to beat my lap time and trying to get a better score. So even though there's only 1 track, if you're that kind of gamer, if you're that way inclined, there's almost infinite replay value here. But if you're not like that and you want to see new content all the time and you want to be unlocking new tracks and new cars, this isn't for you. But if you just want a very pure, simple mid-90s arcade experience, Ridge Racer is a great game. And although I haven't played this specific version, the arcade archives in general, I've bought many of them over the years, and they're always excellent emulations, so I imagine this will be no different. It's developed by Namco. Originally it was published by Namco, but the arcade archives specific version is published by Hamster. I love the name Hamster. It always makes me laugh whenever I say it. It's published by Hamster. Unfortunately, not Virtua Hamster. There was actually a cancelled Sega game for the 32X called Virtua Hamster, like Virtua Racing, Virtua Fighter, Virtua Cop, Virtua Tennis, and Virtua Hamster. That always amused me. Is it an exclusive game? No. And here's the weird thing. Arcade Archives Ridge Racer is already available on the Switch 1. But this isn't Arcade Archives Ridge Racer, it's Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer. And the two are not compatible with each other. I understand why. It's because the Nintendo Switch 1 games are not, despite what Nintendo wants to imply, are not backwards compatible with the Switch 2 on a hardware level. The Switch 1 games that play on the Switch 2, they play via some form of emulation pass-through. MVG did an interesting video on it recently where you can debate whether it's fully emulation or whether it's like a layer on top, like a interpolation layer. But either way, they're not 100% compatible. And obviously the Arcade Archives games are actually emulators themselves. So, if you want to get into trying to emulate an emulator, that's going to cause all kinds of problems. So they obviously just made a brand new emulator. So that's why it's Arcade Archives 2. And that implies very heavily to me that most of the Arcade Archives 1 games aren't going to work properly on the Nintendo Switch 2. I understand why, but that's a shame. Here's the thing. It's $17, which already feels a little bit steep and it's a great game, lots of replay value, but it's just most of the Arcade Archives games are significantly cheaper than that. $17, but if you already bought it on the Switch 1, right now, if you want to play it on your Nintendo Switch 2, you have to pay the full $17. There's no, like, free upgrade or whatever, which I do believe that there should be, really. Especially if you've paid that kind of price. However, weirdly, there's a little note on the official Nintendo website that says game owner discount at a later date. Game owner discount at a later date. And what that implies to me is that if you want to buy it day one right now, launch day, doesn't matter a hang whether you own it on the Switch 1, it's going to charge you $17 to play it on the Switch 2, right? But if you own it on the Switch 1 and you are willing to wait, eventually Hamster plans on implementing some kind of discount if you already own it at a later date. But we don't know what, it's not specified. It's just like this weird kind of side note. But if you don't own it on the Nintendo Switch 1 and you're just looking for a game to play on your Nintendo Switch 2, you don't want to spend very much money, $17 will get you Ridge Racer. It's an excellent game and there's a lot of replay value if you're the type of person who likes to replay the same track over and over again, trying to shave time off. Is it worth $17? Yes, there's absolutely $17 worth of gameplay there. Next game, Deltarune. Deltarune, I'm sure many of you know what it is, but for those of you who don't, it's a very, very famous indie pixel art avant-garde RPG game developed by Toby Fox and published by Toby Fox, solo developer of much note. Toby Fox developed one of the most famous indie games of all time, Undertale, and Deltarune isn't so much a sequel to Undertale as a game that came out afterwards, which kind of runs in parallel to Undertale, ? And Deltarune, if it's not obvious, is the letters of Undertale, but spoonerized and moved around into another order. It's an anagram. That's the word I'm searching for. It's an anagram. Deltarune, Undertale. Yes, it's like an alternative version of Undertale. And by all accounts, it's great. I personally haven't played it. I have played Undertale. I really liked it. Thought it was great. Toby Fox, really a solo developer that I respect a lot. It's just I haven't had time to put into Deltarune, but it's been out for many years. But should I... Well, I say it's been out for many years. I believe, actually, if I remember correctly, there's extra content. It's like the content is split into 2 parts or whatever, and the Switch version is going to launch with both parts, and maybe that's a big thing because it's only part 1 that's been out for a long time. I may be getting that wrong. Sorry. If you want me to look into it properly and cover the whole of Deltarune, again, let me know in the comments or come to the members area, linktree/dailyswitch2, and tell me that you request that you want me to review it if you want me to. But I imagine most people who are interested in Deltarune already know that they're interested in Deltarune. Toby Fox, yeah, great developer. Is this an exclusive game? No, obviously not. Is there a physical version? No. But again, I put in question marks because I can strongly imagine that down the line, we're going to get a physical version, maybe from somebody like Limited Run or one of those companies, because it's such a cult game. And we did with Undertale. What's the price? It's $25. $25. Now, considering most of the games that we've talked about today are $60, $70, $80, $25 for a game of this caliber. Yeah, sure, it's an indie pixel art retro style game, but it's an RPG with a hell of a lot of content to it, and it's from Toby Fox, so you know it's going to be quality. The writing is going to be really interesting. It's going to go into kind of psychological stuff. Yeah, okay. Cool, $25. That's a great price. If it's your bag, Toby Fox games and me, this kind of thing is my bag, baby. Kind of bit. It's $25. Great price. Okay, so that's 24 games, and the last game out of this 25 game list, you can see how I've neatly wrapped this up here, is Fast Fusion. Fast Fusion, my baby. A racing game from Shinen Multimedia. Is it system exclusive? Yes. It's one of only 3 games that are exclusive for the system. And it's only $15, which makes it the cheapest game that we've mentioned today. As long as, we're not talking about Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, because we don't talk about Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour. It's not a game. And Epic with their Fortnite free to play, trying to pretend it's free, but actually you end up paying a fortune for it. No, Shinen are charging $15 for one of the only 3 games that are exclusive to the system. There's no DLC, there's no microtransactions, and for my money, it's the best game in this whole 25 games. Or absolutely without question, it's the best exclusive game. Absolutely without question. Some people are going to say Mario Kart World, yeah, okay. Mario Kart World, great game. It is a great game. It's not as great as it could be. Slightly disappointing for many of us. Not as polished as Mario Kart 8, and everybody's already played Mario Kart 8 to death. This is also a sequel, but it's significantly different to the last game in the series. And unlike Mario Kart, Mario Kart is $20 more than the last game in the series, whereas Fast Fusion is $5 less than the last game in the series, and it's only $15, and it's an excellent game. I literally just released my full review of it. We did a deep dive. I think I talked about it for about 35 minutes, but it's more than worth talking about for 35 minutes. I could talk about it for another 35 minutes right now, just to tell you how amazing this game is. It's only $15. You should absolutely buy it, and it will only take up 3.5 gigabyte on your storage space, but don't let that fool you. It is one of, if not the most graphically impressive game that we have talked about today. If you want Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition to show off what your system can do, you absolutely owe it to yourself to also get Fast Fusion, because the graphics are just as good, if not better. The only problem is it physical? No. Right now, it's only available as a digital download, but I would hope that somewhere down the line, one of these limited run style companies will, at the very least, jump in and say, we'll do a release. Or Nintendo will realize that they're missing a trick and will realize what an excellent game this is and how they should be pushing it. And they will step in and publish a physical version. That's what Nintendo should do. But that remains to be seen. They have, I think, done that in the past with another game in the series. As I mentioned in my review, the Wii U version got a kind of player's choice style re-release at some point physically, ? And I think that was Nintendo that published it. But right now it's only available digitally, but it's just $15. It's only 3.5 gigabytes worth of memory, and it is literally it is. It's my favorite game that we've mentioned today. I haven't played all of them, obviously, but unless, I play some of the other games and they completely win me over, it's my favorite game of the launch lineup. So excellent game. Great one to end with. But here's where it gets a little bit interesting. We can do a little bit of maths. Don't worry, you don't have to do the maths. I've already done it for you. This really helps summarize the launch lineup, in my opinion. We've got 25 games, but as far as exclusive games, there's only 4. And that includes the Welcome Tour. So just 16% of the games at launch are system exclusive. Or if you don't include Welcome Tour, which I personally don't, it's just 12.5% of the games at launch are exclusive. And that, to me, does not bode particularly well. But at the same time, you could argue, no, it's a good sign, because it means that third parties are taking the system seriously and third parties are releasing games. And historically, that's been a problem for Nintendo. On many Nintendo systems, third parties haven't wanted to come on board. And it seems like third parties are coming on board. So maybe it's a good thing. exclusive games are becoming a thing of the past, but we will always have at least first-party exclusive games for Nintendo. I can't imagine Nintendo ever releasing a Mario game on PlayStation or Xbox, for example. But still, 12.5% of the games are exclusive, and all the rest of the games are available on other systems, and probably for cheaper and possibly running better, ? But I suppose they aren't portable unless you've got a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally, something like that. Let's talk about prices. If you wanted to buy everything, if you wanted to buy all 25 launch games, let's say, you're a crazy rich person, or you're just, some silly YouTuber like me who wants to review every single game, how much would it cost you? It would cost you, rounding up, it would cost you $1,250 to buy all 25 games. And that, when you kind of work it all out, averages at $50 per game. Which doesn't sound too bad, because everybody's been talking about the $80 games. But realistically, looking at this list, there's only two $80 games so far. Both of them are from Nintendo. Both of them are overpriced ripoffs, in my opinion. They're good games. They're good games that you can get a lot of content out of, but in no sense are they more polished, more complete, or have more content than vast majority of the $60 games on this list. So, but still, $80 games everybody's moaning about, but when the average is worked out, it works out at an average of $50. But we do have those cheap games that I mentioned at the end, and the free game of Fortnite. So when you include just the full price games, and when I say full price games, that's everything kind of $40 to $80. When you include only the full price games and exclude the free to play and mini stuff, the average price of a game is $59.15. So again, that's actually pretty close to the $60 of the last generation. But $60 was the maximum, except for Tears of the Kingdom, whereas now $60 is the average. But are things quite as terrible as they initially seemed when everybody thought that all games were going to be $80? No, the average price at the moment works out at $59.15. And there are games available for significantly less, including Fast Fusion for just $15. Go and buy it. Please support the devs at that price. My God, go and support the devs. So much content as well for that. And they're going to be updating it for free. Just watch my review. There are only two games for $80, as I mentioned, both of which are from Nintendo. There are 5 games for $70. $70 is pricey, especially for the keycards or a code in a box. Code in a box. But in the case of Cyberpunk and Rune Factory, they're at least doing it right by having the whole game on a cartridge. I can get behind that. $70 is pricey, but it's only really $10 more than we were expecting before. And it's certainly better value to have the whole game on a cartridge than the $70 key cards, which I've got a bit more of an issue with. Let's talk about storage. If you wanted to have all 25 games, then you would need 555.8 gigabytes for all the games, not including some of the DLC, which means that even if you bought one of the 256 gigabyte official memory cards from Nintendo for an extra $60, you wouldn't have enough space on with your system and the memory card to download all of the games available at launch. And that's just the games available at launch. Obviously, over time, more games are going to release. So this is what I was talking about before. Memory cards will kind of become the hidden cost. So let's break it down. The average size per game works out at 22.23 gigabytes, which means that the Switch 2, as it comes with the 256 gig built in, you could only get an average of 11 games before you need a memory card. Or even fewer if you only play those AAA 3D third-person style games, because, as you remember, those were averaging closer to 55 to 60 gigabytes each. Now, with Nintendo's official memory cards being $60 for 256 gigabyte, that means it's 23 cents per gigabyte, meaning an average hidden cost of an extra $5.21 per game. So the games might only average at $59 $8.15, which is a bit cheaper than people were worried about, but you will basically have to pay an extra $5.21 for storage if you go the official Nintendo route. But again, as I mentioned in a previous video, you will be able to find larger capacity memory cards for cheaper. So that will become really important really quickly if you're going to be buying a lot of games. And don't forget, you don't have the option of only buying physical games and not having to worry about a storage space nowadays, because the vast majority of the games are keycard only or code in a box and not actually on the physical carts, even if you buy a box to put on your shelf. Let's break that down. So there are 4 full physical games only. Out of 25 games, only 4 of them actually have the game on the cartridge. That's 20%. And I have a strong feeling that that percentage is going to go down as more games are released, because more and more and more third parties are going to release keycard only. And it's a real shame. But as I said, I will make a separate video on that, because from a developer's perspective, I understand what's going on and I don't like it, but I don't have any say in the matter. So there we go. There are at launch 11 keycard games. That's 44%. Nearly half of the games are keycard only if you want the physical versions. 2 of them, inexcusably in my opinion, are code in a box games. That's 8%. 8% of the games is code in a box. I really hope that that doesn't become precedent, but I note it was EA and Take-Two Interactive. And EA and Take-Two Interactive are both very large publishers who publish many, many games. So it's very likely that there will be many code in a box games moving forward. And I'm not happy about that, but it's just the way the industry is right now, I suppose. There are 2 games that right now you can't get a Switch 2 version physical, not even a code in a box or a keycard. As far as I can see, you can't get a physical version, but if you buy the Switch 1 version, the game will be on the cart because it's a Switch 1 cart, and then you get a free upgrade to play on the Switch 2, and presumably play slightly better on the Switch 2, or even you might be able to download the full Switch 2 version because you own the Switch 1 version. So that's pretty great, and I mentioned those games before, and I think they should be applauded. So, with the 4 full physical release games, the 11 keycard release games, the 2 code in a box games, and the 2 Switch 1 physical games with the free upgrades, that means that 76% of the launch games are available in some physical collectible form, which is pretty good. Although only 20% are future-proof for collectors like me that will want to actually play the games in the future after the servers have been turned off, which is pretty rubbish. So depending on how you look at it, it's either good or it's bad, and my general opinion kind of works out of, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. The industry is going down the physical-only route. The new version of the PS5, the PS5 Pro, is basically trying to push people to be download-only. I imagine that by the time we get to PS6, it will be download-only. Xbox, there might not even be a new Xbox, man. I don't know what Microsoft are doing right now. They've got their whole everything is an Xbox campaign, and basically what they mean is you can use Xbox Game Pass on your mobile phone or your tablet or PC or your laptop or anything. You can stream Xbox games. They seem to be caring less and less about physical systems. They've just shoved an Xbox logo onto a ROG Ally and said, oh, we got a portable Xbox now. It's not a portable Xbox, it's a ROG Ally. ROG Ally's great system, but putting an Xbox logo on there and giving it Game Pass does not mean it's an Xbox. It's a real shame to me, and I don't know if we'll even see another traditional Xbox as far as, the Series X and S, are traditional consoles. Much as people might say they're like a PC in a box, which they kind of are, they still at least have the pretense of being a console in the console wars. Do you want a Series X or do you want a PS5? I'm not even sure that we're going to see another real Xbox, and if we do, it certainly will be digital only, going by how Microsoft is working, and PS6 will probably be digital only, and Nintendo, as I said, they're trying to push people to adopt the digital only. It's the most difficult for Nintendo fans, though, because traditionally a large percentage of Nintendo fans are people who've been around for a long time. They're vintage collectors. They're people who like to have things on their shelf. They're people who... And a large percentage of Nintendo's money comes from that as well, because it's those fans that will pay for the same game over and over and over again and have like 20 different versions of Super Mario Brothers that they've been willing to pay for over the years for different systems. And these are the people who are going to be buying the physical Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition, even though they already own the physical version on Switch 1 and Wii U. And, this is a large percentage of Nintendo's market, is people who want all the physical versions. And they're the same people who want to collect every single different colored edition and every single hardware refresh of each piece of hardware as well. I mean, the Switch 1 has sold 150 million units, but how many of those were to the same people who bought a Switch 1, then the new version with the battery, then a Switch Lite, then a Switch OLED? And probably bought color variations and Zelda variations and Animal Crossing variations just because they wanted to collect them. Certainly not 150 million unique people bought a Switch 1. There's many people who bought 2, 3, 5, 10 variations. And those kind of people are not going to want to be digital only. They're going to want to physically collect stuff. And I fall into that. But I'm also a gamer. I want to play the latest games. And if we switch to a digital-only world, I don't know. Will I just give up and stick with my physical games from retro systems and try and catch up with my backlog into my retirement and die a bitter old man? Or will I keep playing the new games and just accept that the world has gone digital? I don't know. But Right now, what do I feel about the state of the launch games for the Nintendo Switch to 25 games? What do I think? They're good. If you don't already own the majority of those multi-platform games, and you're interested in playing them, and this will be the first time that you're playing them, it's a great launch lineup, frankly. There's plenty of really good games, and plenty of those games have a huge amount of gameplay, hundreds and hundreds of hours worth of gameplay in many of the RPGs and the life sims and the arcade-style games that you can practice over and over again. There's a lot of AAA stuff there. There's a lot of third-party stuff there. So from that perspective, it's a great launch lineup. But from the perspective of what system-exclusive games are there that aren't available elsewhere and probably cheaper and maybe running better, there's only really 3 exclusive games. But one of them is only $15, and we should celebrate that. Thank you for listening. I've rambled on way too long about this. And if you've enjoyed this, and if you want to hear more reviews from me, as I said, we've got a deep dive on Fast Fusion and a deep dive on Mario Kart World. You can go and listen to those. But I will have more game reviews coming up. And we're also going to be covering the forthcoming new exclusive game that I'm really excited about, Donkey Kong Bananza. Not Bonanza, it's Bananza. Like bananas, get it? It is the exclusive game coming up, first party exclusive game that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm hoping it will be a system seller. I'm not sure that it will be a system seller. I have certain reservations, but I am really excited. I love me some Donkey Kong, I love me some platform games, and I love me some first-party Nintendo games as well. They're almost always of a pretty high quality, realistically, aren't they? And even something like Mario Kart World, we can moan about it as much as we like, but it's still a million times better than the majority of third-party games, isn't it? It's just that when it comes to Nintendo, we have such a high bar, and that's why we're all moaning. Really, we've got Mario Kart World at launch. We've got Fast Fusion at launch, and we've got excellent versions of many good third-party games that would never have even thought about running on the Switch 1. So we can complain all we like, and I have complained a lot in this video, but really the launch lineup is pretty good. Compared to other historic Nintendo consoles, honestly, it's one of the best launch lineups. And that sounds crazy to say because I'm so kind of lukewarm on it. But actually, when you go back historically and you look at Nintendo console launch lineups, many of them have not been great. And it's only down the line that we got the better games. So if that's something that you'd like me to do a deep dive on, drop a comment because, again, I think it's interesting. And it did seem that some people found my retrospective of the Super Nintendo launch, comparing it with the Switch 2 launch, interesting. It's got less views, but more comments and more likes than other videos. So I think there's definitely a niche of people who are interested in the kind of retrospective stuff, looking over the retro things and comparing them with the new and what we can learn from history. So I do like talking about those subjects. So even if it got slightly less views than the more contemporary stuff, it did seem that there was some people that were really interested in it. So if you'd like me to compare with more Nintendo launch lineups, maybe do like a tier list, that would be really cool. Or if you want me to do a tier list of all these 25 games, let me know. I can't do it right now because I haven't played all of them, but I will try and get around to playing all of them, at least for an hour or two, to get an idea of what they're like, so that I can put together a tier list if you'd like me to do so. Or do you want me to just move on and we'll only talk about the new games coming out, and we don't care about the launch lineup anymore because the majority is third party and games that are already available on other systems and we already know about them? Let me know. Linktree/DailySwitch2 linktr.ee/DailySwitch2 for all the links on how to find the show, how to find more episodes, how to support the show, and to come join our free members area where you can come and talk to me and make suggestions, tell me that I talk too much, or tell me what you'd like me to talk about, and also get yourself in line to possibly win one of those free Nintendo Gacha Toys, official Nintendo Gacha Toys that I'm giving away just randomly as a promo thing for fun, to people who join our free members area. Okay, thanks guys. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.